Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Wherever you are tuning in, we are thankful that you are doing so here on this 7th day of December, the year 2024. Matt Hatfield here with you alongside the coach, Ed Young. It is State Semifinal Saturday for high school football, and we've got you covered with all kinds of high school football talk throughout the morning. Plus, we'll sprinkle in some other items, dabble in the college football playoff discussion, NFL picks to conclude the show. High school basketball has started, and we've got a special guest that will be chatting baseball with us in the next hour, that being Tim Kirkchin, the Hall of Famer, Ford C. Frick Award winner, to discuss everything involving the world of baseball. And it's wild news that they are talking about having a golden at bat, but also signing days in the books. Ed, not a whole lot of changes on the signing day front, but Virginia Tech trying to beef up its class under Brett Pry after the Hokies were able to prevail against the Wahoos of UVA. So UVA's not going bowling. Hokies will. Some a little surprised, Old Dominion with no local signings as far as 757 area code. William & Mary got a couple from the Maury Commodores, who will be in action today at Powhatan Field in Norfolk. And if I understand it right, I think you're going to be taking in that game, are you not?
Yeah, right now my plan is to go over there at Powhatan Field, probably be in the press box because it's not warm outside.
Okay.
And you know I'm not a creature of the cold at all.
Better hope they have your name on the list.
And if my name is on the list, that makes it even better. And I might have to go there. Who's covering it for you? Will Garlick?
Will is there, yeah.
I might have to go help Will to thrill a little bit, give him some, do some sightings for him and give him some suggestions.
Okay.
Buy him a little bit of, I got to buy him lunch. I think I owe him like 6 dinners from the past 12
You do.
years.
That would be nice of you to do that.
I might have to take care of Will to thrill.
What was your week like? You know, high school basketball has started, and I know this is challenging for you not being on the sidelines, but you did take in a game with me, which we'll have an interview with later on in the program. We'll show the interview with Stefan, Welsh, head coach of the Wolverines, who beat the head coach, Eric Brown of the Hampton Crabbers, in a matchup of defending state champs. Pretty rare and unique to have two defending state champs play each other on the same night. So that was pretty cool on Tuesday in Newport News. Wolverines pulling away what was a good game for about 2.5, 3 quarters, and then Woodside was able to get some distance in the fourth period. But did you partake in one last night as well? I did not.
Yeah, I actually saw my third game, high school game of the season.
You're 2 ahead of me.
Yeah, I went to see, other than Woodside Hampton, I saw Deep Creek at Western Branch on Thursday.
Okay.
Deep Creek being led by one of my former assistants, Craig Frost, and one of my other former assistants, Marquis Cuffey, is the assistant at Western Branch. So I went over to see that team. Those two teams played. Good game for the most part. Deep Creek ran out of gas. And Western Branch, I think, ended up winning by 10.
U.S.
And then
for homeowners who like
last night I went to.
That's why we have safety tips for things like fire.
Oh, I thought I heard some interference.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. I went to see my old squad, Nancy River, play at Kings Fork. Great game. And got to see Coach Cassell, who's now the head coach at Nancy River, one of my former assistants. Talked to him briefly before the game, and then watched a game where back and forth for the most part. Kings Fork, I think, had as much as a 10-point lead, but Nancy River twice late in the fourth quarter whittled it down to where they tied it. Oh. And then some things just didn't fall through for them. And Kings Fork's up front, young fellow Morrison, I think it is, about 6'7", long arms. I think he had a double-double. And then Mr. Boston had hit 25 for them. He had every big shot needed. But River kids showed me some really good heart and fight. Christian Jordan, a senior, one of only 2 seniors on their squad, had I think he had 20. And then Tyron Johnson had 23, sharpshooting junior guard for them. 2 kids that really played well for us last year too. So And that place was jam-packed. I mean, the girls' game was crazy. Nazareth River led most of the game, I think by as much as 12. Here comes Kings Fork all the way back to win by, I think it was 3, something like that. And the place was just jam-packed. Suffolk basketball. Thank God I had somebody save me a seat because I would have been standing all game. But 2 really good games I got to see last night. So I'm trying to feed my itch with going out and see games. And I'm thinking today after the football game, I may go see some college hoops with Old Dominion playing later today at home. So I'm just trying to get out. Whenever there's basketball now, I got to go see it. I just got to stay up with it and take care of that addiction that does not have me on the sideline.
Yeah, there's a couple of showcases going on, too. I know Princess Anne's hosting one. I think Lansdowne's hosting one. I believe John Marshall's playing Hampton, by the way, in one of those. And we've got some more sound, too. Our man Jack Lowe from Cova Sports TV was able to catch up with Coach Thomas of Western Branch after that win over Deep Creek, and Lansdowne's Dwight Robinson after their season opening win over Cox that we will probably sprinkle in coming back from one of the breaks here in a little bit here on Cova Sports TV. As always, you're encouraged to interact with us. We are on YouTube. We are on Apple, Spotify, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, X as they call it, IG, VirginiaPreps.com. Let us know which college football conference championship game are you most looking forward to on this day. The ACC one is the one that's kind of on my brain, Ed, because tonight I think if Clemson is to beat SMU, then you get your chaos, it feels like, with SMU, Alabama, the conversation, the controversy. Do you take the Mustangs? Do you take the Tide? I think it's very, I don't know if amusing is the right word, comical, interesting, perplexing, head-scratching, whatever word you want to use or adjective, that all these analysts are declaring if such and such happens, it's despicable or right or wrong, this team or that team's in. Because for Clemson SMU, for example, if SMU loses on a 2-point conversion or a field goal at the end or something like that, I would feel they belong. But if they get blown out 48-6, you can't sit there and tell me with a straight face they belong in the dance. Now, I'm not saying they're going to lose 48-6. I don't think they will. But I just think it's, you have to see how the game goes and the flow of the game to decide in or out, to me, on some of these teams. And they would be one of them that fits that bill. Same for Georgia. I think some feel like, well, Georgia's in automatically if they lose the SEC championship to Texas. Well, if they lose to Texas 38-14, do they really belong in with 3 losses? Especially when they would have 3 losses and Alabama had 3 losses and Bama beat them head-to-head. So, I mean, but then again, if Georgia beats Texas, they're already in it. It's a moot point. They lose by 1, I think they might belong. So I think how these games go might shake out a lot more than people feel in terms of the scores, not just the results. It makes me scratch my head and shake my head a little bit when some of the talking heads make these proclamations. Commissioners like Jim Phillips in the ACC or Greg Sankey in the SEC want to play the how dare they. Now, the Miami-Alabama argument is one that's curious to me because I go back to Miami's questionable win over Virginia Tech as the black mark against them. But I also look at Alabama and they couldn't score a touchdown against Oklahoma. And this is not Oklahoma of, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, competing for a championship Oklahoma. This is an average 500 team under Brent Venables that has not been that impressive whatsoever. So, I'm not losing as much sleep over the 12th place team as that 4th place team. Like a year ago, you were very irate that Florida State, without a loss, got left home with its quarterback, Jordan Travis, on the shelf. You were irate. You were ready to fight somebody with boxing gloves.
Yeah, and I got my boxing gloves here somewhere. I would pull them out and use them again. I've been listening to all these talking heads about the championship series, but everybody already knows, I've said it on here, and we differ on my opinion. The playoff system, to me, is for the teams that have really done something for a chance to win a national title. That's my definition of playoff system. And until you include every conference champion, this is a buffoon of a showcase for me, because really what it really comes down to, and this is the fan in me says, yes, let's put Alabama in. Get Miami of Ohio, Jacksonville State, Boise State, get those jokers out of there. what it comes down to right now is take your blue-blooded teams who have good records and put them in there for the national title. That's not a playoff system. That's a made-for-TV event. And I'm telling you, it's coming. You're going to have the SEC and the Big Ten take a couple more teams each.
Oh, no doubt.
And have their own playoff for a national champion. I would rather see the playoff system. There's 9 conferences.
We don't
only
need
4 which you call power conference.
I disagree.
Take all 9 in.
No.
Add 9 more teams. Go with 18 teams.
No, it's too many.
Now you have, but there's no need to argue because what I'm telling you is the way it should be. You don't have a team. Jacksonville State wins the Sun Belt or whoever. You're going to look at them and say, "You're nobody. You would never survive in the SEC or the Big Ten."
First of all, they're not in the Sun Belt. Sun Belt is Marshall and Louisiana today. So
all right, let me use Marshall.
Conference you would say is Jacksonville State. But
let me use Marshall.
That out before I get 15 comments telling me that you're wrong or telling us that we're wrong.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't care what people say. It's idiotic for somebody to say a conference winner doesn't belong in a national championship. It's absolutely insane.
What is their record? They're 6-5. What are they?
I don't care if they're 2-8. If they
9-4.
win your conference, you get a chance to play for a national title. Yes, 99, as ESPN says, prediction, 99.9 you're going to lose. But let them lose on the field,
so
not in somebody's head.
How many years have we had that in the last 100 years?
I don't care what we've had in the years. I'm just simply telling you
care.
To do it right, you put the champions of the conferences in, or you change the whole system. You forget conference play, and you just say the top 12 teams at the end of the season rated are going to play for national title.
I'm cool with that. I think these conference championships are somewhat should be irrelevant. Now, I'm not against you on that part. Tom Hunsberger chiming in. SMU deserves to be in regardless of today's results. Alabama doesn't. I'd agree with the Alabama part. However, Tom, while on the surface, SMU's body of work should put him in and playing the extra game like our man Ed Pugh, who, by the way, Suffolk News Herald is flying to Atlanta for the SEC championship. I think he's supporting Go Dogs, if I remember right. On the surface, Tom, it seems right what you're saying. But again, if they were to lose to Clemson today by 4 or 5 touchdowns, and their body of work includes no resume top 25 wins, I have a hard time digesting that. It makes it feel like today. And you heard Rhett Lashley, the coach, say this week on, I think it was a podcast with Andy Staples and some college football experts, that, what if we had COVID this week? We wouldn't play the game. So now it's putting that in the thought process. They have a big issue on their hands. There's no question about that. And that is coming for sure.
When you had back in the day when the 1 and 2 at the end of the year, they played for the national title.
So
that was
about
crazy.
his point of Army, they had the one loss where they got hammered by Notre Dame, 11-1. They won the AAC. You want them in?
If they won their conference, yes. Yeah,
so you agree with Tom? They should be in.
If you win your conference, there's 9 conferences. You're in that. That's 9 teams in the tournament. Now you figure out the rest. I don't care what the rest are. I really don't. Because now, as a fan, I'd rather see South Carolina. Let's say LSU. LSU has 4 losses. I'd rather see LSU play instead of
South
Army.
Carolina's a good one. Yeah. Well, it's a television show. You have to understand that's a television show.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a true national championship. It is made for TV drama, and nobody.
You get that on Law and Order SVU on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock, right?
Exactly. And most football fans are casual observers. They're not diehards. A diehard fan is going to say conference champions belong in a playoff situation. I don't care if they're – you can't say, well, Jacksonville State don't play nobody. Okay, then take Jacksonville State, put them in the SEC. Put them in the SEC. They'll go 500 at best for the rest of their life. So you'll never have to worry about talking about them anymore. Alabama deserves to be in the playoffs. Okay, put them in the Conference USA. They'll win it every year undefeated. Then put them in the thing. I'm tired of hearing 3rd, 4th place teams should be playing for a national title because their strength of schedule was hard. They beat people by 50 points. Who cares? What does that mean? And then they say, well, you should be playing the best teams. Okay, so you're going to play the top 5 teams. Get beat by all of them, and you should still be in the playoffs? you lost. You're not going to be in the playoffs. So, and I think here's something else that's going to happen. You're going to see soon somehow the NCAA, and I hate to use those letters because I don't think they even know who they are. Every team gets three or four games that they can schedule whoever because you're locked into your conference schedule. Mm-hmm. You're going to see a certain way where teams are going to be told who you play. In other words, okay, the third place SEC, your schedule next year will include game against the third place Big Ten, third place ACC, third place Big 12. That's your non-conference. So you're going to be playing similar teams to you. Now, I was told by somebody the other day when I mentioned that, oh, Ed, you can't do that because college football schedules are made 7, 8 years in advance. Okay, why? Why are we making football schedules 7, 8 years in advance? Didn't they change the Big Ten schedule last year to include all those Pac-10 teams coming in? So just do it every year. I wouldn't be a problem with that. But you see teams like Georgia, Alabama played Mercer towards the end of the year because they need a gimme game because they've been beating each other up in that SEC. I understand it's the best conference. So they're going to stick Mercer in there. And then people say Alabama shouldn't be in the playoffs. They played Mercer. Why are they playing Mercer? Here we go.
They do play them. They do have those Citadel Mercer games on their schedule. But look, and I hear Tom's take. He's with you on this. Y'all are ganging up on me, as the fans are. And Dan Malloy just said, "Preach, you're preaching. Get the Bible. Get the pen on the desk." And I'm
on the road. Number one, I got a major headache. Number two,
well, that's because I'm here. I'm sure.
I'm just tired of all this talk because everybody said we finally got the 12-team tournament. It's going to satisfy the football. It's worse than it's ever been. It's worse. And now we're talking about.
I don't think it's worse than it's ever been. I disagree with that.
We're talking about going to 14 teams.
I thought 12 was too many. I thought 8 would have been the right number. Now look, I get his point about the quarterback switch, but Tom, I want to hear you say this. If they were to lose, you say it now, and I get your point. I get what you're saying, that the body of work, this game shouldn't matter. You've done enough to earn the credit. This one game should be taken against you. But for years and years, go back to the BCS system, the year that Oklahoma got smoked. I remember when they had L. Roberson and Darren Sproles at Kansas State, lost the Big 12 championship, got in the championship. What happened? They lost the next game. So what I'm getting at is I get the quarterback change and how it has benefited SMU greatly. But if they were to lose big today, I have a hard time justifying them as one of the 12 best teams in the country when you just lost to a Clemson team that hasn't done really a whole lot all year. Kevin Jennings, that QB, by the way, the sophomore, has given them a big jolt. I just have a hard time. I think the playoff is designed to have the best teams regardless of what the league is. Now, I get why you guys feel it's SEC Big Ten. I'm not loving that either. We got a 3rd, 4th, 5th place, 6th place SEC team, Big Ten. I mean, Penn State beats Oregon today. How disgusting is it? They could be the number 1 overall seed. They could score a touchdown against the Buckeyes, who, by the way, spit up all over themselves last week against Michigan. What a disgraceful, terrible performance at home by Ryan Day, who's hanging by a thread. Now watch him go win this playoff and be made a hero all of a sudden, and they couldn't do anything against a very, very average Michigan team. But look, this system's been flawed for years. People wanted more teams, and now we get more teams, and you all are unhappy. You're all unhappy.
I knew it. I knew it was going to happen when it came to 12. I said, you're going to still – it's like the 64 NCAA basketball tournament. When they pick the teams, for about 3 days, you have complaining about 4 teams that didn't get in that should have. And then once the tournament starts, everybody shuts up. So I just think, again, for football, the conference champions are in, and then you can add as many other teams as you want. I don't care if you add 13 more, whatever. And come out.
This is not NCAA basketball. You can't play 4, 5, 6, 7 games. I mean, the NFL guys don't have a tournament that long. It's too much.
And that's one reason why it's not going to get real big. If they do that, then the whole bowl picture, which here's another statement.
SMU is in. Greg, let's see if you agree in 24 hours when they lose this game by 2 touchdowns tonight to Clemson and Alabama squeezes in and it makes the ACC mad like Florida State was last. Let's see if that happens. And by the way, you can't take a word of what Ward Manuel says on those broadcasts. Those guys will say one thing and turn around the next day and do something else. It's called politics, okay? We watch it all the time with those that run for president, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, okay? And those things come back to haunt you. They don't mean anything, whatever they say. It does not hold up in court. Trust me, it doesn't hold up in court. But I know you're waiting to see. I heard Chuck Todd say this earlier this week. if one of these conferences goes to a court and tries to make this, I wouldn't say a Hayfield situation, but now it becomes really messy for college football. You do wonder if that day is coming. You do wonder.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why the NCAA will just throw their hands up and say, you know what, whoever wants to go in the tournament, go ahead. Y'all figure it out. But another thing, this is a side note on all this. How about all these bowls? Who gets excited about 6 and 6 playing?
The potato chips bowl and the Pizza Hut bowl and the
mayonnaise bowl.
bowl.
There's a mayonnaise bowl.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be great to have someone dump a tub of mayonnaise on you? Oh, that would be just wonderful.
It would be good, but it's not going to happen.
Oh, it would be great.
I would, and here's the other thing I don't like. Already, all the teams that are not in the tournament, their key players are jumping into portal. Virginia just lost.
I do hate that. Yeah.
Didn't Virginia just lose 2 quarterbacks?
Well, look, let's give you one from the 7. Yes, let's give you one from the 757. Sherrod Koval, Oscar Smith alum. Oh, by the way, we'll get to the high school football coming up. His little brother Jaden's helping the Tigers today against Colonial Forge. He just announced he's going in the portal. Is there any inclination? Is he playing tonight for Clemson against SMU at defensive back, or is he already in the portal? He just said adios to me. He goes, I have no idea.
See, that needs to stop too. There should be a period where you cannot go in the portal until the season's over. Let's say
the Benjamins. 1st. It's all about the Benjamins and not the names, the money.
Right. And they have to change the recruiting calendar. This stuff can be done if the right, I like to put faith in the people that are running things, that they know what the heck they're doing. The more and more I see it, you got idiots that are trying to run stuff and don't know what they're doing. And now we just have chaotic problems.
Now, you know what? Gregory Price is not wrong here. A Miami-Colorado bowl game with Cam Ward and Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter, that might get a better rating than half those playoff games. Honestly, that would be – people would be glued to that. They'd be glued to that. They would love that game. The only other one that would be just as big, Greg, if you got like Lane Kiffin versus Dion, Ole Miss, Colorado, people would be into that too, because the whole week leading up to it, those two would be exchanging all kinds of barbs, and the press conference would be like a boxing match. It'd be like Tyson Holyfield with Dion and Lane Kiffin. But look, I get what you and Tom and others are saying, Ed, here, just expand, get all these teams in. I just think 16, 24 teams were increasing injuries more. We've already got all this kind of mess with the portal and players wanting to bolt. It's a little difficult, a little tricky to digest right now. Hey, Dan says they're playing in Suffolk next Saturday, so to check them out.
I'm not yet completing my basketball calendar where I'm putting all the local college teams in here, so I can get out and see everybody. And I did see where Dan's squad was coming here, and I think I marked it down because that team is located way over in the western part of the state, so I can't see them play.
Martinsville area, right? Yeah,
Martinsville. So I think I got that one marked down to go see it play. So
good deal.
Virginia, I think they're playing Virginia Peninsula Community College, who I saw their game the other day against Johnson Community College out of North Carolina. They destroyed them. Virginia Peninsula. People got to go out and see Virginia Peninsula, led by Chris Moore, head coach. That's a nice squad, and they play an exciting brand of basketball. You got to get out and see these teams play. We have some teams in this area who get no notoriety. You don't even hear about. They're smaller schools, 2-year schools, and those kids play really hard. They play well, and the teams for the most part are pretty good. We got Old Dominion, we got Hampton, we got Virginia Wesleyan, Christopher Newport, we got Norfolk State, but we got some other squads people need to see.
Coming up at 10:30, you see it on the screen. Tim Kirchin, ESPN MLB analyst, will join us to break down everything in the world of baseball. We've got high school football state semifinals today, so we'll go through that. Our picks, our previews, which you can see on VirginiaPreps.com. We're the only site, I believe, known to man, Ed, that has all 12 state semifinal games previewed wall to wall, pillar to post, with previews, keys to victory. Big shout out to my entire team, consisting of Danny Lewis and Devin Payne and Will Garlick and Robert Anderson and Robert Edmonds and others that help make it possible for us to get all that content, exclusive content up there. And you can see Ed Young's picks and my picks for every game. We disagree on a few of them today in the state semis, but we're going to take a timeout and come back with more. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, and you're always encouraged to interact with us. Now let's hear from Town Bank, Chichos, and more. Stay tuned.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship. And that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
All right, I'm here with Coach Robinson, Coach of the Eagles after their opening night victory over the Fox Falcons. Coach, first game of the year, what'd you see, what'd you like out of your team?
Felt like we were a little sluggish early on, but we started to get in our transition game later on. We knocked out some shots tonight, so that helped too, but we got a lot of work to do,
Absolutely. What would you say is the best part about this Lansdowne team this year?
We're young and we don't know that we're not good, and so we're trying to figure it out. We do have a lot of athleticism, and we're pretty deep, so we're just going to keep working at it and try to get a little bit better every day.
The elephant in the room, your son obviously playing for you now, James Robinson. What did you see from him tonight, and what's it like getting to coach your son out there now?
Well, he shot it really well tonight, so when he shoots it like that, he's pretty hard, to stop, and he kind of gets us going. And so he did tonight. He got us going and kept us ahead by quite a bit. But he understands the game. He understands what this is about. He's been around it a long time. But it was fun coaching DJ. It's fun coaching Dame as well.
Expectations this year?
I mean, we always have state title in mind. So we're nowhere near being a state title contender right now. But hopefully by February, we can be talking about, heading in that direction.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
So that was Robinson, head basketball coach of the Lansdowne Eagles, Dwight Robinson, not just Robinson, after his team's win to open the season, beating the Cox Falcons, as Lansdowne also won last night over Tallwood. They're now 2-0 overall on the young season, 79-44 over Cox. Had 26 points for his son, Damian Robinson, a freshman, in his debut. Also got 11 points apiece in that game from Xavier Cleveland and Josiah Law, and maybe the best freshman twosome in the area, dare we say, the state Lansdowne has with Damian Robinson and Rashad Shaw. So they should be fun to watch throughout this season. Big win last night for Kellum as they went to Green Run and won. Speaking of Green Run, they'll be in action today on the gridiron against the Maury Commodores. It's time to look at some of these state semifinals. But actually, before we do all of that, and hey, look who says good morning to us. Sideline Bob. Bob Lanham's watching on the YouTube.
Robert, belated happy birthday to you. I think he had one, late last month, or
did he?
Thanksgiving Day or something. I think
it was the day the Browns beat the Steelers on that Thursday in the snow, wasn't it? They gave him a present. I know
it could have been it. His Browns are browned up. Good job, Bob.
That's a good one. But actually, before we break down the state semifinals for football here, would you like to see and analyze and tell me what I got right and what I got wrong, which you love to do anyways? Would you like to tell me what I got right and what I got wrong with my preseason top 10s for the VHSL Class 6 to Class 1 hoops? Would you like to share them on the screen here and dissect it real quick while we have a moment?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, I know you do it. Here you go. He said Thanksgiving. That was his birthday.
I told you it was Thanksgiving.
I'm sure he got all the good sides, the stuffing, the cranberry, all the good stuff.
I think Bob took pictures at the very first Thanksgiving they had when the Indians and the
He did not.
Pilgrims and everybody got together. Bob was there.
Funny guy, aren't you? All right, number 1 in Class 6. Any problem with the defending state champion South Lake Seahawks led by – there's a great photo by Bob Lanham. Look at that awesome picture, by the way. If you want photos, hit up Bob. He's one of the very best around. He gets
Bob is the best.
Would you have any problem with seeing South Lakes as number 1 in Class 6? They are. There's your top 10. One of those teams already tripped up. Glen Allen got beat by J.R. Tucker, so go ahead and make fun of me for that. C.G. Woodson, your man, it used to be W.T. Woodson. Doug Craig, they fell to South Lakes in the opener. How about last night? No Hayfield South County game. You say, why? They still suffering from football? No, they didn't have officials. Maybe not having an AD in place might have been a problem with that. No officials. How about that? Big matchup with Hayfield South County doesn't play because no officials.
Hey, let me say this, too, before this gets started. Hayfield, did you check your roster of all your players and make sure
so
we don't have another fiasco
Be
like
nice.
we did in football?
Now, why do you have to?
I mean, come on now. Look what Hayfield has caused. They need to be checking. Keep an eye on South County. Hoping Lansdowne comes up through the chute. Oscar Smith will probably stay there. South Lakes is a great first pick because of who leads that team. And of course, I like to see my man, my comrade from Pennsylvania, Craig at Woodside, let to do something. But they changed the name, huh?
Woodson, not Woodside. He's not at Woodside. That's Stefan
yeah.
Welsh. But he is coming to Woodside if you want to see them in action. They're playing Kings Fork 2 weeks from today. If you want to go over there for that, be a good game to see.
Possibility. I got to work out my schedule.
Yeah. I won't be able to go to any showcases next week because I'll be in Harrisonburg at JMU for the state football championships with Andy Hayes on the call for the NFHS network. For some reason, they'll let me zoom in, so we'll just have to just tell you what's there. There's Silas Barksdale, who we saw the other night. Woodside is 1. Green Run 2. They took an L. They'll fall. Riverside's very good. LC Bird, who lost in the state championship to Woodside. Maury, Massaponax, Kings Fork, Albemarle, Norview, Potomac Falls. Norview got beat last night by Lake Taylor, so there will be some changes coming in Class 5 hoops. What's your assessment?
Woodside, I think, is sitting pretty at number 1. I seen them the other day. I think you keep an eye hard on LC Bird for sure. I don't know much about Massaponax, but my eyes keep going towards them. So might be. I saw Kings Fork play last night. They have shooters. They play fast. Big boy in the middle takes up some room. He's long, lanky. Morrison. Kings Fork will be beating some people.
Jeremiah Morris, yes.
Morris,
Class 4, Hampton, number 1. John Hanley put it on whoever they played last night. I think like 97-16. They smoked them. Varina, Tuscarora, EC Glass, Broad Run, Atlee, Churchton, GW Danville, Loudon Valley. When I spoke with Boo Williams the night, he was very high on Varina. I think Boo's got a player, Brian Mitchell, who's on their team. His travel team played him, so they're going to be really good. That's what it's looking like for Class 4. I think
Hampton can hold serve and stay up there most of the year. Hanley would be a team to keep an eye on. Verona for sure. That's a tough top 10 right there. That's hopefully Churchland can sneak up through there too. And I was high on GW Danville in football. I think I'll lean towards them a little bit too, and maybe at the end there'll be a surprise team for basketball.
Supposed to come down for the VA Preps Classic as well. So you'll see DeMarcus Morris and his team. He was the coach at Tunstall. He's a GW alum, so they should be fun to watch throughout the year. They've already got a few wins. They beat Dudley last night, so they're off to a good start. Northside defending state champs 2 years in a row. I know you got a lot of respect for Billy Pope and what he's done there. We've got a chance to call those championship games led by Michael Harvey and Cy Hardy. They're 1, but watch out for Hopewell, number 2. They got the Lansdowne transfer in Deshaun Spellman. Spotswood, Liberty Christian's got a new coach, by the way, who won a state championship in the Vissa. Meridian, which used to be George Mason. Heritage of Lynchburg, William Monroe, got a really good score in Brady Lamb. Cave Spring, Lafayette, Lake Taylor. Maybe not as much strength in the 757 in Class 3, although Lake Taylor, new-looking squad. Yogi Edwards got a nice win on Friday over Norview. They could make a little late-season push there.
Yeah, I think, again, Northside should probably hold that position for a while. I think Hopefield's there. I say watch Liberty Christian. Watch Liberty Christian as the year comes on. I think below that, you're going to have a lot constant changing. And again, I hope our local Lake Taylor kid moves on up.
Western Albemarle could jump in there, too. They didn't make it. John Marshall in Class 2, need we say more? Dan River and Floyd County are 2-3. Brian Harmon's Buffaloes got knocked out early last year. Bruton slipped by your guy, Paul Hall, and War Hill last night in a close ball game. They're number 4. Virginia High, Luray. Virginia High lost in the state finals to John Marshall. Luray, Graham, who's played today in the state football semifinals. Clark County, Central Wise, Stewart's Draft. it's really a battle to see who finishes second, isn't it?
Yeah, John Marshall will win the title again, easy, probably by 56 points. That's over already. Everybody's fighting for second place.
It won't be by 56 points if the team that plays them does what I've suggested, and that's hold the ball. They might lose by 34 instead of 56.
It's tough to hold against them. They got so many athletes.
But you could lose. But would you rather lose 48-14 or 96-42?
It doesn't matter to me. Number one, I want to get there. I want to win, but the margin of defeat, you got to use strategy, yes. And if that's the best way you can beat them, you've got to bother them. So, but I don't see anybody doing it. It's hard. You've got to have some really smart kids and some handlers to hold the basketball, and I don't see it being happening.
Well, they've got handlers in sports, if you know what I mean. Number one is George Wythe in Class 1, Auburn 2, not Ward. It is War Eagle, the Eagles of Auburn, who lost in the state finals to Lancaster last year. Lancaster just won a buzzer beater to start their season off against Northampton, who's 8th. Alta Vista is playing the state football semis. They'll get some football kids, you would assume. Patrick Henry, Glade Spring got a couple of towering big men. Chilhowie's mighty good. And then you look at the rest of that group. Class 1 seems pretty much up for grabs, although George Wythe has been knocking on that door, and I think they're ready to open it up.
I'm looking hard at Alta Vista for that.
Really?
Yeah.
AC Johnson, veteran coach, son of Bob Johnson. You remember Bob Johnson? Yeah.
Yep. Bob was a long-time success. I just think you're right. There's a lot of changing up in there. And I guess the closest to our area under the 757 code would be a Lancaster, a Northampton, to see those teams maybe move. And Lancaster is a team we talk about in the playoffs almost every year. So maybe they'll come up. But they don't have any more Hendersons. When they had one, they were very good.
This is true. Let's look at the state football semifinal matchups for today, Edward, and what we have going on in Virginia high school football, as it shows on the screen now. You see it on the screen. There's a bracket. There is the Class 3 bracket. Let's start there. This is the first one that popped up on my screen. Which of these two games will be better? Lafayette Kettle Run, Liberty Christian William Byrd. We had Charlie Porterfield on the hash with Hatfield earlier this week. If you missed that, go check it out. It's up on VirginiaPreps.com. It's up on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. We spoke with Andy Lynn last week. Two undefeated teams. We've only got two matchups featuring two undefeated teams, and that's one of them with Lafayette Kettle Run. Is that the better game of the two in Class 3?
I would say so. You got the two unbeatens going at it. I just think the other game is Liberty Christian. Byrd will put up a fight, but Liberty Christian all the way. This Lafayette Kettle Run, I'm going with Lafayette, not just because they're 757. I feel strong about it, though Kettle Run has probably proven me wrong every step of the way. I think I've picked them to lose so far every playoff game, and I'm picking them again to lose. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should pick them to win, and then they will lose. But I'm going with Lafayette in this, but Liberty Christian to win the whole thing.
Well, Lafayette's defense has been really, really strong all season long, but this is the first, I guess you could say, potent passing attack that they've faced in the sense of what Jacob Mulhern and Kettle Run can present them this year in terms of what he's done and as far as affecting the game. He's thrown for 38 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards passing his career. So this is going to be a game that's going to really test their pass defense for sure. If they can win the battle up front, they have a great chance. And obviously for Kettle Run, they've got to be able to tackle those ball carriers. We talked about it last week. A backup fullback running for 200-plus yards, and Tyree Wilson for the Rams was a big deal. Liberty Christian's Gideon Davidson was named the Gatorade State Player of the Year yesterday, Ed. You have any issue with that? He has been mighty, mighty good. He's going to Clemson. So Dabo Swinney's excited to get him, and he does it on both sides of the football. And statistically, when you look at what he's done, it's hard to argue with it. Through 12 games, 2,054 yards, 34 touchdowns, also 2 touchdown catches, 2 kickoff returns for scores, 95 tackles, 2 interceptions in his career, 7,476 yards, and 118 touchdowns. That's like Gatorade National Player of the Year consideration, the way he's played, right?
Yeah, I just think it's tough. And I think I don't know. I always want to say you should pick the Player of the Year before the playoffs start, so you're only looking at regular season. And then part of me says, let's wait till it's all done and see if that person went right through the playoffs, if their team went right through the playoffs, and how well they did. But it's an individual award. You should not hurt a kid because his team wasn't that good if he has the numbers. Now, you've been mentioning this kid. Who was the kid? I can't remember the name.
Dinwiddie, Harry Dalton.
He's responsible for like 100 touchdowns or something.
Southern Cal. And remember last year, Jeff Overton Jr., who went from Freedom of Woodbridge to Hayfield. Just the fact that he played at Hayfield was going to give him the award. Of course, he didn't have his longest season, obviously, but it feels like it's Davidson's award. I don't have an issue with him getting this.
I'm not saying he shouldn't win it because he's got
deserving.
numbers and he's on a very good team.
He's totally deserving, yeah.
Right, and he's a high recruit. So no, I don't have a problem with that. It's just there's so many other players out there that, it's better to pick it later or pick it earlier. But I don't have a problem with it.
So we disagreed on who wins that Lafayette Kettle run game. We are in agreement on Graham over Glenver and Poquoson over Strasburg. But we talked about it last week a little bit. I think we actually talked about it off air the other night after our Woodside Hampton basketball game we took in. The quarterback for Glenver, Brody Dayot, if you haven't seen what he's done, he's a junior. He might be one of those Gatorade Player of the Year candidates next year. My goodness, his stats this year at Glenver are ridiculous, folks. I talked about it on the Hash with Hatfield. Here's what he's done. And by the way, I mentioned it to you. You got a chance to call his brother Owen in the state championship in 2022 for Cave Spring when they beat Petersburg. His older sister Daisy Ann was part of 2 state championship volleyball teams at Glenver. And Brody, 2,726 yards passing, 46 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions. He'd run for 700 yards and 12 scores. That's 58 total touchdowns, tying him for 5th on the VHSL's all-time list. And then from his edge position on defense, edge rusher, 90 tackles, 18 sacks, and 7 pass interceptions. Beat that, sir.
That's what I'm saying. His kids are putting up some numbers. I do think the player of the year, because you have so many great ones, probably should go to a senior.
Yes.
To kind of.
But I'm talking about next year. If he puts up those kind of numbers next year, he's going to, or him returning is going to put him in the conversation for that award. Is what I'm getting at.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He's going to, I think he'll be, as long as, let's hope no injuries or whatever. But yeah, I think you're right. Those are some ungodly stats. But yeah, I think on this one, I go Poquoson and Graham and probably stay with, as you say, the G-men to win it all.
Well, I would tell you that based on what I've seen from Graham's defensive line, it's going to be hard for Glenver to give him enough time throughout the game consistently. That's going to be the real challenge. Poquoson and Strasburg, these are 2 mirror images. Wing T for Poquoson like Lafayette does. Strasburg runs the ball at will. They're not a pass-happy team by any means. They don't throw it a whole lot. Taki Coates has had a great year for them, and their defenses are both giving up around 10, 11 points a game, not a whole lot. That feels like it's a low-scoring game with those 2 in Class 2. And you have one unbeaten left in Graham, who, by the way, saw their best prospect transfer out to Science Hill before the season in Daniel Jennings. But Ubrenal Isabel, you might remember him. His dad played the Patriots, UVA. His son's having a heck of a year, 100-plus tackles on defense for the Graham defense. Class 1, before we go back up to the higher divisions, you've got Essex, Alta Vista, Rye Cove, Grayson County. Now, you and I differ on who wins these 2 games because you took Alta Vista. I took Essex. And you took Rye Cove. I'm taking Grayson County. And my logic in both cases will simply be defense wins championships. And I'm not dismissing what Rye Cove does defensively or what Alta Vista does defensively. But I look at Grayson County coming off a shutout. They have a mixture of guys creating takeaways. They've got 3 Goad brothers, Maverick, McCray, and Mac. So you got to figure out which Goad is good or which Goad do you get. Yeah, get your Goad.
Well, you got to go for it. You just got to go for it.
And then in Essex's case, they've not given up a point this entire postseason, and they just walloped Rappahannock, who beat them during regular season. Alta Vista had a bit of a sketchy showing against Buffalo Gap, and plus their stud with 4,000-plus career rushing yards in LaDainian Stone. He's got a bit of an injured ankle, so I wonder how effective he is. Now, last year was 16-8 state semis. Essex won. Essex got held to its season low in yardage, and if not for 4 takeaways and a blocked punt, Essex might have lost that game. So home field does matter. I'm guessing that's where you went with both Alta Vista and Rye Cove unbeaten at home. That's why you leaned with them. Is that fair?
I did, and I tell you what, I want so much to pick Essex. I mean, they're a scoring juggernaut. It's the closest team to us, and me and my homer bias. But I went with what I think is the better team, right down to it, Alta Vista, which and again, it is an undefeated team. And right now, I went with Rye Cove again, undefeated. I want to see the undefeated matchup, state tournament.
I can respect that.
And that's kind of why I went with Ryan Cove for basically and rolling the dice. I kind of wish Essex Alta Vista game was the championship.
We got to get one of those Alta Vista people to hook up our man Bob Lanham with an autographed Browns Thornhill jersey, since he went there and he took a bajillion photos of Juan Thornhill and his state football and state basketball career for us. We got to hook Bob up with an autographed Thornhill jersey. So somebody out there has got connections to make this happen. I'm trying to get Bob some swag since he's one of the long-suffering Cleveland Browns fans out there, and he's helped us over the years with all these Juan Thornhill photos we've used in past articles. Want to go up to Class 4 through Class 6 before we take a timeout? Or you want to take time?
Let's do it.
We got time. We have time. Let's go up to Class 4. The Phoebus Phantoms today at Darling Stadium taking on the Sharando Warriors. We told you last week about Micah Carlson being dinged up. We wondered about that in their matchup with Salem, but he got it done. They pulled it out, and now they take on Phoebus and their rock-solid defense. Longest winning streak in the state, Edward. Phoebus known for that ground game, very punishing rushing attack. Their sophomore quarterback, Maricus Banks, has not flinched in pressurized spots. We saw it last year in the state finals. We saw it this year in the game against the Wascally Warwick Raiders. Sharando's good. I just wonder them stepping up in competition on the road. Can they slow Davion Roberts in the running game and Phoebus's defense? If you make one mistake, they will annihilate you. If Sharando's going to have a chance in this game, they got to survive that first punch. They've also got to be sound on special teams, you would think.
Yeah, I think one thing about Phoebus defense, and you made a comment about if you make mistakes. Phoebus is a defensive team that they're going to make you make mistakes. Some teams are just good defensively because they kind of take away what you like doing and make you feel uncomfortable. Phoebus they're disruptive on defense, so you really can't even run sometimes your own stuff. And if you don't, that's taking that punch in the face, that proverbial punch in the face. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. If Sharando can overcome that early and stay close in the game and give to Phoebus what Phoebus hasn't felt in a while, then we got an interesting game. If not, we're just going to have 13-0 in the state championship, and away they go. I think the other game is more intriguing. Verona Tuscarora. And did I pick Verona?
You did pick Verona, yes.
Yeah, I want Verona.
I don't know who you picked.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which one.
You're like the guys on these desks on the TV. Did I pick that score? Jason Kelsey the night. But he's sure that I don't know how that score got up there. You're a trip. You know that?
Jason Kelsey is Jason Kelsey reminds me of a dude who opened the door, was looking for the restroom, opened the door, and just walked into the studio and said, "Hey guys, what's going on? Let me sit down here." Like he doesn't belong, but he does a great job.
Hey, our man Danny Lewis is going to see a great one with Verona and Tuscarora today there in Richmond. The wide receiver defensive back matchup between Dawson Pugh for Tuscarora, who's going to Boston College, and Damari Carter, a junior, two-sport athlete in football and basketball, could be something special to watch unfold. Quarterback for Verona has been playing really well in Caleb Weiss. That's what worries me about Tuscarora in this game. They're down to the third-string quarterback, but their defense is tremendous. And Verona's defense is mighty strong. Sophomore running back had a 220-yard, 2-touchdown game for Tusky last week in Zane Ilion. But that has the feeling to me. It could be really low scoring, like 14-7, or it could open up if Pugh and Carter make those big plays. Now, if they get neutralized by each other, then I don't think we'll see a game in the 20s or low 30s. But that feels like up front, there could be just some grown men scratching and clawing and not biting, but fighting in that game. That's going to be a real war. I think Tuscarora's defense is better than people realize. And Verona, they obviously have those bursts in them where they can, if we've seen it in basketball too, they can erupt on you in a quarter and turn a game on its head. But that's a real war. And I tell you what, I think Phoebus will have a much easier time today than next week, assuming they advance like we expect. But next week's game against Verona or Tuscarora, should they get there, I think will be a tough order for them at Liberty. It will be much like last year's, sweat it out to the end.
I agree with you on that. I really think, and again, now I want to slight Sharando, but we're trying to pick to see what happens, and I think it's Phoebus because it's like a heavyweight boxing champion. Until he loses, he's still the champion. You're not going to out-decision the champion. You're going to knock him out, and I think that's what has to happen with Phoebus. You're going to have to beat them, plain and simple, and then have enough resolve to come back after that crazy war to win next week. And that's what Verona and Tuscarora are going to go through today. Of course, they got a whole week to prepare, whoever wins that game for Phoebus. But it will be a tougher game for Phoebus.
Let me ask you this before we go to Class 5 and Class 6. If Sharando was to win today, would this be viewed to you as one of the biggest surprises in the state playoffs since 1999? And you say, what happened then? That was when Culpeper, coached by Lou Sorrentino, came to Darling Stadium and knocked off the Hampton Crabbers in overtime, 20-17 in the state semis on their way to a championship. Hampton had won 4 in a row. They had actually won 3 in a row, from 90, or wasn't it 4 in a row? It was from 90, I'm drawing a blank here. Hampton was on that. Obviously, they'd won a couple national titles under Ronald Curry as a player with Mike Smith, who just got named to the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. They had won championships in 1995, 1996, 1997, and 1998. They were coming off a 4-peat. Yeah. Hampton had that long winning streak. Would this be as big a surprise as that, if not bigger, in your eyes?
It would be big because Phoebus has been undefeated for so long. We just automatically think they're state champion, period. Mm-hmm. But Sharando's 12-1. It's the playoffs. Phoebus is not going to go undefeated forever. They're going to lose a game. We don't know when. Could be today, next week, first game next year. We don't know. They're going to lose a game. So in that respect, it's not a major surprise. If it was to a team that has 1 or 2 wins and they were undefeated, then it would be like, what the heck happened there?
They won 47 in a row, though, Ed. And the state record was 52 that they shared with Riverheads, I think. Yeah. So they want to break that record next year.
Yes, they have motivation to play every time because they do want to win every game. Wanting to and doing so, 2 different things. But I haven't seen anybody in the Peninsula District. Warwick the last couple of years was the best opponent, but they kind of rolled Warwick. So I don't know. The only way I could see them losing is probably in the playoffs. So here's the game, and then if they win, then there's another shot next week to lose. If not, they're going to go in with what next year with 49 straight wins.
No, because they have 2 games left, and it's If they won both, it'll be 49. You're right. Yeah, 49.
Yeah, I'm trying. I think I could do my math now. 47.
No, you got it right. You got it right. Green Run Maury, Briarwoods LC Bird. Which one do you want to tackle here first?
Well, the undefeateds, both locals. So we're going to get a 7-5-7 in a championship game for sure. You would like to think that's the game. That should be the championship game.
What's Green Run's way to win this game? To me, it has to be their defensive pass rush, breaking down Altori Newkirk's time to throw the football, because he has just been money the last 2 years. 43 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, almost 3,400 yards passing. If you can't get to him, you're not beating them. It's that simple. And they have a pass rush with Zeke Chinwiki, who's going to Virginia Tech, Manny Taylor, who's going to Pittsburgh, Cam Johnson. That, to me, is the game. It's got to be, can the Green Run defensive front pass rush break down the Morio line?
You got to try to confuse them. You've got to blitz. I think, again, this basketball coach talking football. I think you have to show them different looks on defense. You have to have people come from different angles. Sometimes you're blitzing, sometimes you're not. Depending on the down and yardage, are we going all out on them, or are we just going to build up a wall and make sure they can't break down the wall? Nothing has worked against Maury in the last couple of years. They have a ton of great athletes, and their line play is superb. So, again, and I think I even said last week, it's a situation where you have to play your absolute best game and still hope they play their worst game if they've ever had one. And when you kind of start talking about we hope that this happen, you got to make stuff happen. And if you shut down that passing game, and you know better than anybody else, will Maury's running game be sufficient to have them win, or they're in trouble? And again, sometimes people say, pick your poison. You can't shop everything. So what are you going to really concentrate on? And hopefully their weakness has to become a strength in a game of this nature. But again, I just don't see all that talk. I think Maury is just destined for another state championship.
Yeah, the keys we outline on Virginia Preps are as simple as follows. It's protect the passer, blanket Anderson, as in Jaden Anderson of Green Run, if you're Maury, and stay on the attack. For the Stallions, they've got to get heat on Newkirk, the quarterback, cut down on penalties. Remember, they had 18 flags for 195 yards against Bayside. They had 16 flags for 147 yards in the regular season game with Salem, and then manufacture rushing yardage because they're known for their air attack. They can get some on the ground. It'll take some pressure off Kassan Farrar and their passing game. Folks, make sure you bring the eggs if you're a Green Run fan and throw them at Ed Young because he's got it scored 28-12 Commodores. So get mad at him. He'll be there. Briarwood's LC Bird. You took Briarwood's in overtime, and I also took Briarwood's. Our man Danny Lewis has got Bird winning this game, and Bird is the word. I just feel like getting Trey Dudley now healthy, running back who's going to Syracuse, plays linebacker 2 for them, and that wide receiver out wide, Colin Capistrant, could be the X factor. You're asking Bird to win a 3rd straight road playoff game, which is doable, Ed. It can happen. They beat Matoka on the road. They beat William Fleming. I just feel like maybe their magic, I don't want to say luck, but maybe their run runs out today against Briarwoods with a really darn good coach in Mike Burnett, who's led both Tuscarora and Broad Run to state championship games before. He's trying to get to JMU with this crew.
Yeah, in picking this game, I really was wanted to pick Bird. And I felt Bird would be the team to come out of this because I've gone against Briarwoods all the time. It's almost like with the previous game I'd mentioned about I don't know if it's Tuscarora or whatever. I've been with them, and all of a sudden I went against them. This time,
what changed your?
Yeah, this time I'm going with them because I've been underestimating Briarwoods all year because I picked them to lose every step of the way. So now I said, you know what? I'm going to go with them. I've listened to what you're saying, obviously, because I put a lot on that because you're a little bit more in tune to what's going on with these teams than I am. And I just feel, okay, you're right. Bird to win a 3rd straight road game. But once you get into playoffs, a mentality of a coach to his team is, fellas, it doesn't matter if we play in a parking lot somewhere. This is our opportunity to move on. We can't worry about, we got to play at home to win. It's the only way we can win. And some teams are better, football, basketball, are better on the road than at home for whatever reason. And Bird can fall into that where they just love being on the road. It's a challenge that does not hurt them at all. And some people get a little too comfy when they're playing at home thinking they got it made, and you don't. So it'll be interesting to see, but I'll go Briarwoods.
Classics, Lake Braddock and Madison. You can read the full preview up on virginiapreps.com. Now, Ed Young is going against the Bruins in this one. He's taking Madison, but relatively closer than I am, 21-18. Madison led by Dominic Nicely, who's going to Coastal Carolina. He signed with him this week. They thought he was going to flip to JMU, and he didn't. Ended up signing with Deshaunta Clears. He's got over 2,000 yards all-purpose. Earlier this year, regular season game, Madison won comfortably 36-15. Now, I could be wrong about this, Ed, but I think of the 12 state semifinal matchups, I have to double check it here, this is the only one that is a rematch of the regular season, if I'm looking at it right. I think it's the only one that's a rematch regular season. Do you put much stock into that here in the state semis, and given that it was a 21-point win for the Warhawks?
I think you have to look at that. The idea of they're familiar with each other. I don't know if you put a whole lot of stock in the score because things have changed since then. Yeah. And I think both teams are much better. Obviously, they've got this far. And I think both coaches go back and look at that film. Is there something out of that film that they can see that maybe they haven't before that could help them? So it does have some relevancy to it when you're playing now in the playoffs. And I like the idea when I play a playoff team that I've already played them, win or lose, I've already played them, because it gives me that idea that, okay, I'm comfortable with them because I have an idea what they're done. But then again, I've got to watch and see everything they've done since that game. It's not the same team. Now, if you would have played them just recently, like 2, 3, 4 games ago, as opposed to early in the year, now it means a little bit more. But it'll be interesting to see how that comes out.
Oscar Smith, Colonial Forge. Now, you have this scored a little bit closer than I do in terms of your prediction. You've got it at Oscar Smith taking the victory but only by a margin of 16-12. I've got them doubling up the Eagles 26-13. Oscar Smith, that defense has been playing at a high level this year, 7 shutouts. Colonial Forge coming with that RPO game, the run pass option behind Brock Brimhall. They're going to be really tough to deal with in this game. Should be a fun one.
Yeah, I kind of think the scores be a little bit closer. Of course, I'm putting my stock in Oscar Smith to win it all, being a 7-5-7 situation. I don't think I've given Colonial Forge probably the respect they do all year. But again, I just keep thinking when you get to this point and your opponent is called Oscar Smith, and this is where they most always are, you really going to have to bring something. Very similar to when people who plays Phoebus and now whoever plays Maury. Yeah. You're going to really have to bring something because those teams are not going to make a lot of mistakes. I don't think they're going to beat themselves, and you're going to deal with athletes on both sides of the ball, plus line work. Your guys in the trenches on those squads are probably the key as to where they're at now.
Yeah, we had on Colonial Forge coach John Brown during the On the Hash with Hatfield podcast this weekend, and he talked about having to be able to match physicality of the Tigers, which you think of the Tigers being almost more of a finesse team with their air attack going back to the years under Rich Morgan and what they did throwing the football, but that physicality up front they can bring with their defense and the line play, like you said, is such a big deal. And one more thought before we go to break here, and then we have on the Hall of Famer Tim Kirkshin coming on with us to talk some baseball here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Jamari Deloach, the Oscar Smith standout defensive back, one of the fastest players in the entire state, flipped his commitment from Cincinnati to signing with the Hokies of Virginia Tech. You at all surprised by that? It's another Hokie from Oscar Smith. They've gotten quite a few over the years.
Nothing surprises me when Virginia Tech, Virginia get kids from the state. I kind of expect it. I'm hoping, and I'm a little disappointed, Old Dominion really didn't pick up some people. And I'm not. And I think that's more of an issue with the kids than it is Old Dominion. I'm sure there were some people Old Dominion wanted, and the kids decided, well, I'm going elsewhere. And I sometimes sit back and say, okay, go ahead and see if the grass is greener on the other side because you're going to be coming back. Now, whether or not somebody wants you when you come back will be another story. But that's how I look at it is Virginia Tech. I used to think if Virginia and Virginia Tech wanted somebody in the state, they were getting them, period. Mm-hmm. Now that's not so much true because so many schools come into state to recruit hard. Penn State is traditionally a powerhouse team that has come in this area, including 757 in the state of Virginia and especially 757 and gotten players.
For sure. We're going to talk with Tim Kirkshin coming up next about Major League Baseball, the Golden at Bat thing that's being talked about. Where's Juan Soto headed? All that coming your way. If you got a question for Tim, you can always chime in with us. Shoot it our way. We'll give it to Tim here. But let's hear a quick word from some of the sponsors, including CHKD and One Life. We'll be back in just a moment on Cova Sports TV.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk.
Usually it's Hatfield. That's why I try to tell everybody, get on Hatfield. He is the legal scribe, the talking head that knows all this, puts the whammies on. We do things different on this podcast. That's why we're rated number 3 in the state.
You got Play-Doh? Get out of here! We got people all over the globe watching with us. Sitting in a phone booth with you would be very...
well, no, we got to have your own phone booth. I'm not sitting in a phone booth with you.
It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And welcome back to the program. We have a special guest with us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. He is the Hall of Famer. You see him all the time on ESPN. He's been on Sports Center, Baseball Tonight, ESPN.com, ESPN Radio, and he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Our good pal and friend, Tim Kirkshin. Tim, good to see you. Happy holidays. How's life treating you?
Good. I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning putting up the Christmas decorations this morning.
Oh, goodness.
I drag a lot of things out of the basement, but when it comes to skillfully setting things up, not very good at that. I know where everything goes, but I have to bring my wife, Kathy, in to make things look really good. I know they go in the right place. I know big boxes go over here. And I can lift, but I have no skill, and that goes for just about everything in the world.
Well, see, Ed ends up hiring some neighborhood kid and gives him like $10, $15 to do it. And then with my house, I find stuff in the shed and the closet that I didn't even know I still had. Is that the case for you at all?
Yeah, don't start me on this, please. Our garage, our basement, it's like Fred Sanford lives in our house. The house is spectacularly beautiful, except certain areas of it are a little bit cluttered, and we're working on that this off season also. But at least I know where all the Christmas stuff is. It's easy to get to.
Tim, you got it. Your wife won't let you, and I don't have a wife here, so I can do it. I leave mine. I have nothing on outside. I don't put decorations up outside. Inside, I leave it up year round. So that way, July 9th, if I want to be in a Christmas mood, I am. And of course, it's December. I want to be in the Christmas mood. It's there. I just leave it up. I ain't got to worry about it. I got to put it away. Just make sure you clean it. But most wives will not allow Christmas decorations year round because they want to see everything change. And you got to keep putting different decorations of every holiday season up. That would drive me nuts.
Well, I'll never get away with that. I put it up, I take it down, and everything in between, my wife takes care of it because she's really good at this.
Well, let's dive into the baseball, Tim. The season has completed. There's been some deals. There's plenty more deals to come. Is it right now for everybody, yourself included, all the different baseball analysts, experts, fans, is it all just the waiting game for Juan Soto, or is it more than just that for you and others, do you feel right now?
Well, it's more than that, but this is obviously the biggest story of the free agent season. Juan Soto is 26 years old. He has over 200 home runs. He's played in 2 World Series, winning one of them. He is a generational hitter, and he's going to get more money potentially than anyone in the history of team sports. I mean, he might go over $700 million with the deal he's going to get. That's what we're kind of all waiting for. Now, that doesn't mean once he signs, then it's just the floodgates are open and everybody else signs. But usually when the biggest domino goes, others follow. So I fully expect a very robust market, but it's got to start with Soto. And let's hope for everyone's sake we get this going really before the winter meeting starts Sunday night, Monday, because that's what the winter meetings is supposed to be about. Tremendous activity where baseball controls the landscape for 3 or 4 days, and a bunch of really fun signings and trades is what the winter meetings is all about.
We know how Ed feels about this. He wants them back in pinstripes so they can return to the World Series and get the outcome that they prefer as opposed to losing to the Dodgers. Would you, Tim, be surprised if he doesn't play somewhere in New York, be it for the Yankees or Mets, and B, people have said out loud that they feel like if the Dodgers somehow got him, it would be bad for baseball, given all the talent they have with Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, just got Blake Snell. Do you feel if the Dodgers got him, it would be not great for the sport?
I don't think they're going to get him. And yes, I think it would be unhealthy. I think that's the only term I can find if they were to sign Juan Soto. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I think, and again, we're all guessing at this point because the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Yankees and the Mets are in on this. It just seems logical that he will go to one of the 2 New York teams. Now, that doesn't mean he's going there because the one thing we've all learned from free agency is there's nothing certain. When Albert Pujols signed with the Angels, like the entire sporting world like slapped their forehead because nobody saw that coming. Anything is possible when you get to this point, but around 700 million, there are only a few teams that can afford that.
So true, Ed.
Tim, the Soto has just dominated the whole baseball landscape since almost from the last month of the season all the way up to now. And it will continue, as you said, until he signs. I read how all the pundits are talking, how the media is swaying things a certain way. I'm being a gigantic Yankee fan. I'm on a couple Yankee groups chat. And the feeling is, look, we're not spending $600-700 million on this guy. We can take that money and get 3-4 other guys. How do you assess that with the team like the Yankees? Is it better to get the generational talent, Soto, and you're going to pay him money because prices are going up all from 5 years from now, somebody will be getting $800 million. So, or do you go get 2-3 guys to fill in and now you have a better chance of winning your World Series?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ed. And it's something we debate every year about this time. When somebody is up for a huge contract, would you be better off going to get a third baseman and a first baseman and a starting pitcher instead of just Juan Soto? But the other side of that is you can't always go for quantity over quality. And there are very few players in baseball history of a higher quality of a hitter than Juan Soto. And you saw, Ed, what happened to that Yankee lineup. The second he showed up, it's like every guy looked at him and said, well, that's what a great at-bat looks like. And he did it every single time he stepped into the box. So there is no doubt the Yankees really need him back. However, if he does say go to the Mets, yes, the Yankees will just pivot and say, okay, with the money that we were going to spend, how can we go get a starting pitcher? How can we go get, a third baseman or a second baseman or a first baseman or another outfielder? There are needs there if Juan Soto were to leave, and the Yankees would have a lot of money to deal with.
And I agree that you're going to have to pay Soto the money. And it's over lifetime of a contract, so to speak, 10, 11 years, whatever. And baseball you'll get more money. The revenue will come in more. So you'll have the money later. But it is that idea of, look, this kid is very talented. He's only 26. I think you got to sign him, and you better have a little bit extra money because the Yankees, I keep saying Yankees because we have holes. I like to see Jazz moved over back to second and bring in a third baseman. Of course, we need a first baseman too, but I do feel you got to get Soto. And I don't even look at, well, how does Soto fit in with the Mets? And come on, the Red Sox, seriously? But I got to believe that it is, as Matt said, it's going to be he thinks one of the two New York teams. I kind of do too. But I'm not counting out the Red Sox. As you mentioned, Pujols going to the Angels. Everybody's like, where did that come from? So you feel that, especially with maybe Boros as his agent, don't count it out until we see what really happens.
Right, absolutely. And when Scott Boras is the agent, he is, as he always is, as most agents are, determined to set all sorts of records and be able to tell everyone, I got the biggest contract of all time for Juan Soto. And that's where the Mets, really come in more than anyone else. But let's say the Red Sox were to pay him this. And my guess is at the moment they're not going to go that high. Imagine what he would do to that lineup, and imagine how excited Red Sox fans would be and how excited Soto would be to go to a team with that kind of rich tradition, especially in the last 20 or so years. So it's a fascinating discussion. There's so many different ways to go on this. The entire industry is waiting for Soto to make up his mind.
Yeah, just intensify that rivalry between Yankees and Red Sox if we went to Boston, Ed.
Well, I'm still keeping the fingers crossed it's the Yankees. And then somebody asked me the other day, well, okay, you're a Yankee fan. Let's say he doesn't go there. He's going to either go Mets or Red Sox. Who would you want him to go to? My first reaction was, well, the Mets, so we don't have to face them as much. But it is another New York situation. But the thing that gets me most, Tim, out of this, and maybe this can never be fixed, why is the free agency drawn out so long? Can Major League Baseball put a rule in somehow that says by December 1st, or the winter meetings, the 5th of December, put a date in there and say, we got to have these guys signed? I kind of think that Soto knows where he wants to go. And it's not just the money where I think Burroughs' mind is, hey, look, you may never come across this again. We're going to get you the most money because wherever you go, they're going to be good. But can baseball do something about when the signings have to occur so we can get on?
Yeah, we've discussed this before, Ed, and it's not an easy situation. A lot of people say once the winter meetings end, December the 15th, all trades need to be done, all signings need to be done until spring training. But that's just, there are too many free agents out there. There are too many players looking for jobs, and there are too many executives who will go through whatever it takes to make sure they get the right player. So it makes a lot of sense. But I don't see it as being realistic that you can set a date sometime in December and say, if you don't get your guy signed by this date, that's it. I don't see that happening, but I just hope, as I said, that all or most of the action comes during the winter meetings in Dallas when all the media is there and baseball completely controls 4 days during the football season, which is hard to do. So I just hope for the game's sake that we go there and there's a lot of action.
If you got a question for Tim Kirkshin, you can send it to us on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel, on Instagram, Facebook, all over the web. We've got one from Jim on IG who wants to know what his Orioles are going to do. Tim, it was a disappointing finish in the playoffs for them. They've made it the last 2 years, but did not advance as they got knocked out by Kansas City this year and got knocked out by the eventual champion Texas Rangers the year before. What can the Orioles do in a division where all we're talking about right now is Yankees, Red Sox, and could Soto end up with one of those two?
Yeah, the Orioles need to do some work here. Look, they have a very good team. They're going to go to the playoffs next year, I believe, if they don't do anything. But they have to do something with their starting pitching. All the injuries that they suffered last year, John Means, Kyle Bradish, just 5 or 6 guys went down. They have to re-sign Corbin Burns or somebody of that ilk. And I'm not sure they certainly have a shot at getting Corbin Burns back because he was so good for them. He enjoyed it there, and they enjoyed him so much. But a lot of other teams are out there for Corbin Burns. So, and the way the Orioles swung the bat late in the season and in the postseason was a bit of a red flag. And if they lose Anthony Santander, which is certainly possible because he's going to get $100 million from someone, they're going to need another bat to go with a team that was a little short at the end of last year. So the Orioles have some work to do, but they still have a bunch of prospects to deal. They still have a lot of money to deal with because they have a new owner that is determined to make this team better. But Orioles have some work to do, no doubt.
Another question I want to throw up here before I let Ed jump back in with, and I'm sure address the golden at bat situation that's being discussed, Tim, is Rodney in Chesapeake wants to know, is there a pitcher on the market that you could see shifting the landscape? I guess he means be a starter or reliever that could put a team from good to contention to great, maybe a favorite. Is there a pitcher out there that you could see swing things?
Yeah, I think Corbin Burns is that guy who we just mentioned. He's that good. He's a Cy Young candidate every year. He has overpowering stuff. He throws a cutter in the upper 90s that nobody can hit. So he's the number one guy for me still. But Max Fried also makes an awful lot of sense for a lot of teams. He pitched a game clincher in the World Series. He's a really smart guy. He's got a great curveball. And even though he's had some injury issues, I think he's a difference maker also. I think he can take a contender and turn them into a champion. And I think he's close to good enough to taking a non-contender and making him a contender. So every team needs starting pitching these days, and those are just the two guys that I look at first and foremost and say, those are the difference makers.
A few more minutes with the Hall of Famer Tim Kirkshin. You see him all the time and hear him all the time with ESPN television, radio. Also check out his podcast he does with his son. Tim Kirkshin, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV, and we'll let Tim tell you how you can find that podcast as well before we let him run. Ed.
Also, Tim, last year at this time we had you on, we talked about the rule changes. I was not big on the shift. They've outlawed the shift. I think you don't mess with strategy. That's up to the managers. And like I said, teach the doggone guys how to hit to the opposite field or bunt the doggone ball. Now there's talk, and I don't think it's happening anytime soon, holding that bat. I know Matt hates it. I'm laughing at it because I haven't totally grasped it. it just seems to me to be funny. It would be something you would see in a Saturday morning cartoon. This dude's coming back to bat anyways, even though he just struck out. Is it possible down the line we'll see that? And anything else that may come up? And then also, you being the expert you are, what rule changes should be happening?
Well, I don't see the golden at bat rule being adopted, certainly anytime soon. At least I hope not. Look, fellas, this is the best game ever. And one of the reasons it's the best game is the 25th, 26th man on the team can determine who wins the game tonight. He can get the game-winning hit with 2 outs in the 9th inning, the last guy on the bench. And I love basketball, don't get me wrong, but LeBron, Steph Curry, Michael, Larry, they always take the last shot. The game is always in their hands to determine the game, which I understand that kind of star power, but one of the great beauties of baseball is the great players don't decide every single game. They don't get to come up in the biggest situation every night. So I would be very surprised if the golden at-bat rule came in anytime soon, because it really messes with the fabric of the sport. As for what rule changes may come in, I mean, we're getting closer and closer to having an automated strike zone. We're going to have in the next few years, I guess, some sort of challenge system where a player can say, no, that pitch was a ball or that pitch was a strike. And they can challenge it during the course of a game. We still need to, study that in the minor leagues. It's getting some momentum. I think it's going to be here in a few years, but I would be careful messing with the game too much. I'm a tired old little man, and I don't like to mess with a game that has been so beautiful for 150 years.
I'm so glad you said that, Tim, because I saw Roger Clemens' tweet where he said, hypothetical, you have bases loaded, no outs, and Ohtani is up. You strike him out. Then they can just use this rule to let him stay up, and I have to face him again. It felt like, and I know you were, I think with me, I don't want to speak for you, when they put the ghost runner on second base in extra innings, I thought that was a disadvantage for relief pitchers, much like you would have if you played overtime football and you played the defense with 9 guys against 11 on offense. I felt like it was a disadvantage to them. You do this, it just puts the pitchers at another disadvantage, doesn't it?
Yes, and I'm not in favor of the ghost runner either. I'm in the minority on that. I'm really surprised how many people in the game think it's a great idea. I'm sorry. I don't see it that way. And with the time that we've cut on major league games with the time clock, which is great. If we cut 30 minutes out for the course of a game, maybe we can play a real extra inning until somebody actually scores a run the way. Some of the greatest games I've ever seen have been 14, 15, 18, 20 inning games. And yes, it taxes the players, but it's okay. They're the greatest players of all time. They should be able to stay out there until we determine a winner without using a ghost runner.
Absolutely. Hey, tell the folks, and we'll finish up with you here too. You are the host with your son of Great Game or What podcast. How can they check it out and all the stuff you'll be doing here in the off season?
Yeah, it's all over anywhere you get your podcast, Facebook, Spotify, all these places. I'm the worst of all time in telling people how to find it because I can't even find it myself. But I can tell you this, my son Jeff and I have a blast doing this. We laugh and we learn. That's all we do. No heavy lifting, no hot takes. We had a bunch of really good information and a bunch of laughs this year. And we do it instead of once a week during the off season, we're doing every 2 weeks. And on Tuesday, we have the best of our first year on the podcast with the best of all the interviews that we did. The best of Jim Palmer, Johnny Bench, Aaron Boone, Cal Ripken, Tito Francona. We had some marvelous guests, delightful guests, and that will be on Tuesday. That'll be my favorite episode of the year.
That's tremendous. And I know greatgameorwhat.com is the website, greatgameorwhat.com. Some Orioles fans actually commented to me. They love the Jim Palmer interview. Saw a snippet, I think, on your Twitter X page. So check it out. Don't feel bad, Tim, though, because Ed, half the time, can't figure out how to get our podcast out there. He asked me to send him the link, and he can send it to people because he don't know how to find it half the time. So
yeah. Tim, I'm with you. I don't just get me on it. Don't let me touch no buttons or whatever. Matt's the technical guy. The younger dude should know that already. My generation was something else. So I have no problem with that. I'm in the same boat with you. But I also want to throw this out. One of the greatest books to read. Okay, Tim Kirchin, fascinated. I'm fascinated by Sacrifice Flies. Timmy, other than this book, what other books do you have that people got to get? I've read this a couple times already. Each time I read it, I learn something different. Your love for the game is nobody else has it. And that's what really draws me to it.
Well, the book before that one is called "Is This a Great Game or What?" which is the same name as our podcast. This comes directly from my father. He used to say things like that. So it's the name of our podcast. It's the name of my second book. My first book is called America's Game, which is an interactive book with all sorts of cool stuff in it, supplied by the Hall of Fame. So I have 3 books. Hopefully I'll write 3 more before I'm done, but I got to get through this off season first. We got to get Soto signed before you can look anywhere else.
Well, Tim, it's going to be busy for you in these winter meetings. I hope the Yankees sign Soto, find us third baseman, get us a first baseman, make a couple good trades. Let's go win what we should have won the World Series, because everybody knows the Yankees are the greatest franchise in baseball.
Yeah. Well, hey, Tim, thank you so much.
Go ahead. Good luck, Ed, and good luck, Matt. Thanks for having me this morning.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year to you.
You too. Thanks.
We'll have you again, Tim, as always, and we really appreciate you giving us this time.
Happy holidays to you and everybody else. Take care.
Thank you, Tim. That is the one only Tim Kirkton, the ESPN Major League Baseball analyst and host of Great Game or What podcast, Hall of Famer with us on the program. We will take a timeout. We've got NFL picks coming your way soon. We'll give you some final thoughts on the state semifinal action. Plus, we've got some more high school basketball sound to sprinkle in before we bid adieu. We thank Tim for spending some time with us on this particular Saturday, State Semifinal Saturday. Anthony Robinson, Phantoms. You know he loves his Phantoms. Says, morning, fellas. Going to be a good one today at 1 o'clock at Darling Stadium as they try to keep the win streak going, getting closer to 50 consecutive wins and that drive for a 4-peat. We'll take a timeout, though, hear from some of the sponsors that make it possible for us to do this with you here on Cova Sports TV, and that includes Chicho's. Stay tuned.
Get ready for a season of thrills and excitement. Virginia Beach United invites you to experience the adrenaline of USL League 2 Pro Soccer. Tickets are only $10 for adults, $7 for kids, and children 5 and under are free. It's the perfect family outing filled with fun and entertainment. Secure your seats now for a season of unforgettable soccer moments with Virginia Beach United. Don't miss out.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger! The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 Meal Deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Hi, it's talking with Coach Thomas here. Coach, the Western Barons Bruins after their opening night victory over Deep Creek. Coach, you opened up the game forcing a turnover and dunking. Crowd goes nuts. Take me through what's going on the bench, what's going on in your head, all the emotions going on in the first game of the season.
Gotta be honest with you. If you have a choice to start a season on, that'll be a way to do it. But that's not my design play. Cam made a great steal. And he has grown. He's one of the guys that has grown from last year this time tremendously. We got about 10 guys that really committed themselves. You know, we had a good squad last year. We lost a lot. And so we knew that our younger guys were going to have to step up. And I'm fortunate because I got about 5 of them that I've had since they were freshmen here. I was on JV, and then they came up with me to varsity last year. So they got some experience last year, and now they're our leaders on varsity. So it's a fun time. But yeah, he got that still, man, and he's got better. He's got the weight room, got stronger, and yeah, got the crowd going. That Brewing Crazies got going. So we got off to a good start.
What would you say is the strongest point it's early, but the strongest point of this team so far, at least from what you saw tonight?
Well, I know we're going to have some issues with size, but was really impressed. We got 2 bigs that came out from football. Tayshawn Trotman was big for us tonight. Even though he only played like it was 4 minutes maybe. But man, that spurt he gave us off the bench. Yeah, a couple blocks, back-to-back blocks, back-to-back rebounds, 2 putbacks, just crucial. And it gave us a lift as well emotionally, as well as what it gave us, on the scoreboard. So that was big for us.
Yeah. Again, so early, so it's tough to say some of this stuff, but would you say there's anybody that has stepped up as a team leader? You lost a lot of seniors last year, obviously Vic, Ellis, and Derek and all them. But has anybody really stepped up as a vocal leader yet for this season? Yeah,
actually impressive that we got one kid, a baseball player. His name is Markel Smith. Really, really good kid, great kid in the hallways. Really, all my kids, I have a good team. I have a team that's really tight. They're really tight, but they hang together all the time. I checked on one kid about something, and he was with the other guys over the weekend. So they're really tight, but Markel has become that voice, after timeouts that you'll hear speaking up in practices. Practice is a little flat. He'll get practice going. And as well, his play on the court has improved as well. You saw him tonight. I think he had about 14 tonight. So he has improved.
Expectations for the team this year?
Taking it game by game, man, play by play, possession by possession. I told them the other day, our expectation is to be a good basketball team and be a good high IQ basketball team. Just play hard, represent our school, represent our families, and represent our community as best as we can on the hardwood floor. That's it.
It's interesting. 2 years in a row, you open up with district play. You get Deep Creek twice. 2 years in a row on the first night of play, not non-conference. What's it like opening like that? And then also, are you happy with what you saw tonight?
Well, if guys really knew the history, Deep Creek and Western Branch, a long history of rivals. I played here football, was able to be part of that rival. We would pack out, 8,000 people. It almost seemed like back then that the game every year, the end of the season, would determine who was going to the playoffs with Deep Creek. And so it's a long rival. And then that coach is a good friend of mine, Coach Falls. We're really good friends. And so it's always good to open up with them because it's just going to give a tough matchup. They got off to a great start, man. They played Monday and Tuesday, played some good teams. They came in 2-0. So we knew we had our hands full tonight.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
That was Western Branch head basketball coach Charles Thomas. His team of winners 71-61 over Deep Creek on Thursday. He spoke with our man Jack Lowe from Cova Sports TV, Markel Smith and Jane Walker with 18 points apiece as they took their opener. Hornets dropped 2-1 on the season, Ed. And we've got some more high school basketball sound. That was one of 3 games you were at this week. If folks are just tuning in, our normal time, we usually go 10 to 12, but me going a little earlier today because I got to get over to state semifinal football action today. We got a bunch of teams in action we'll get to in a second here with Phoebus hosting Sharando at Darling, Lafayette visiting Kettle Run in Class 3, Strasburg traveling to Poquoson in Class 2, Oscar Smith hosting Colonial Forge in Class 6 in the game. You'll be out in Norfolk with the Maury Commodores, unbeaten defending state champs, taking on the undefeated Green Run Stallions. But we saw a game on Tuesday night in the Peninsula featuring reigning state champions, teams that are trying to get some hardware like the Crabbers and Wolverines got last winter.
Yeah, a good opening basketball game, Woodside, Hampton, who I think you're going to see both teams, when it's all said and done, fighting for state championship again in respective divisions in that too. I think you'll see that. Hampton's in 4 and Woodside's in 5. Close ball game till the end. Woodside pulled away, and Matt had an opportunity to speak to the guy in charge over there at Woodside, Stefan Welsh, on the night they got their championship rings from winning that state title. Let's see what Steph had to say with Matt here on Cova Sports TV.
Here with the two-time reigning Class 5 state champion basketball coach of the Woodside Wolverines, Stefan Welsh. His team wins at 68-53. It's always good to celebrate ring night, but it's even better to do it with a win. Tell me about what you guys did at halftime. It was a close game, and in the third quarter, you opened up with a big burst.
Yeah, I just felt like we played good enough defense. I mean, we only gave up 26 points at halftime. That's really, really good defense. We wanted to give up 10 to 12 points a quarter. I felt like we did that. I felt like they hit some unbelievable shots, and if they hit those same shots in the second half, they definitely deserve to win the game. I didn't feel like that was likely, so we stuck with our game plan. And it worked out for us. We knew coming into the game we really had to rebound. They were trying to force the ball inside. I thought we did an elite job of being there help early, and when it was time to double, I thought we did a good job of doubling, and I thought the backside help was there as well.
Messiah Wells Stevens for tonight hit like 26 points, something like that, going to Radford. It felt like he helped you get in that next gear, just pushing the pace, and you sped them up.
Absolutely. I thought early in the game, packed house, ring night, I thought he was pressing, wanted to put on the show. At halftime, particularly, I told him just settle down. Settle everybody else down, get your shooters involved in the game, the floor opened up. And I thought in the second half, we hit some really, really big shots. And the more shots we hit, the wider their defense got, which let him play to his elite ability of getting to the basket and making plays for everybody else.
And to that point, he just had one turnover after halftime, 5 in the first half. The X factor, I was just telling your assistant coaches, I thought back in Norfolk State team camp, we know about Silas going to VCU, we know about Messiah, your floor general, but Donnell Deuce Jarrett, he had a few threes tonight, and he's got a lot of upside to him, doesn't he?
Absolutely, man. You know what? Deuce is growing every day. We know that when we put him in the game, we bring him in to absolutely score the basketball. He can hit 5 straight, he can hit 7 straight. So, I thought he did a good job tonight of playing within himself. And I thought we did a good job of finding them to get him open looks. He's going to have a really, really big time year. On any other team in the 7-5-7, he definitely will be a starter. But for us, he is our 6th starter. We just need that change of pace coming off the bench.
One more for let you run. It's rare to see 2 big men go at it early in a basketball game. You guys with Silas at 6'9", then with Gavin Kay at 6'8". And I thought, in addition to your transition play, your guards, the speed of the game, Silas's rim protection with 5+ blocks tonight, he really challenged things at the rim tonight.
I think that's his most underrated skill set. He can really, really, really protect the rim. Probably didn't score it as much as he wanted to tonight, but he the beauty about his game is he impact the game in a multitude of ways. He rebound. He's gonna be early in help. He's a really, really good passer. And most of all, he's a really, really good teammate. He's not going to force anything. He's going to take what the game gives him.
Lastly, take me back to when you played and now as a coach. You won back-to-back as a player, back-to-back as a coach. I'm not sure what the biggest rivalry, maybe it was Bethel, but you guys in Hampton have become a rivalry. They're defending state champs. What's this mean to have this game, opening night, 2 defending state champs, kind of celebrate the 7x7 for hoops?
I mean, it means everything. We know that, they're going to make another run in March. They're big. He does an unbelievable job with them. He does a great job of making adjustments. And my thing when I'm playing Hampton is I always got to be adjustment ahead. I thought tonight me and my staff were adjustment ahead. And to get that kind of game with this atmosphere open tonight, that's going to carry us, down the season. And, I think, with 7, I think we got 7 sophomores, for them to get to experience this and for a lot of them to be able to play in this environment, I think it's going to help us not only, throughout this season, but when those seniors leave, they're going to be ready to step in and continue to produce at a high level.
Now the journey to a 3-peat start. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
So that was Stefan Welsh, Woodside Wolverines, a winner over the Hampton Crabbers to open up the season on Tuesday night. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Ed, your reaction, and we appreciate Anthony chiming in. I like the interview with Stefan Welsh, whose team you label as the favorite in Class 5. Are they? 2 questions. One's going to be football transferred over from basketball, and one is basketball. One, is Woodside the best team in the 757 for hoops this season, regardless of division, regardless of public or private? I know you bothered some people with this statement in the past that you had. And then second to that, we saw Woodside and Hampton play. What would be the matchup you'd like to see of defending state champs in football next year? We have some teams from the 757 that could play each other. What would you like to see? Maury, Phoebus, Oscar Smith, Maury, fill in the blank, somebody else. It could be 2 teams outside of 757. What would you like to see?
Right off the top of my head for football, if everything goes according to plan in the playoffs, or the plan I would like to see, it would be Phoebus and Maury.
They've had a benefit game the last 2 years, but you want to see a real game that counts and matters.
In a regular season game, right? I don't like leaving Oscar Smith out of there, but I just think
Maury Oscar Smith would be intriguing. We haven't seen that.
That would be right there too. I don't think you go wrong any combination of those.
We've seen Oscar
3.
Smith, Phoebus. We've seen Maury, Phoebus in a benefit game. Phoebus has played Lafayette. I'm trying to think who Phoebus would be. We haven't seen him play Highland Springs until this year, so that was good to see. I got to think who would be a good one. If the Beach allowed someone like a Green Run to play out of district, Phoebus Green Run would be enticing. But the Beach is play out of district.
I know Andy Lynn over there in Lafayette would love to be included in that.
Yes.
He has a long time, great program, and he's not going to back down for nobody. That he would like to jump in there against whoever. It's unfortunate you can't do it.
A cool game would be Lafayette Kings Fork. I don't think we've ever seen that. That'd be a pretty cool game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate you can't do in football what you can do in basketball, because you could play, you could get all those teams together for a showcase and for a couple days and mix and match.
Ooh, that's a good one from A-Rob. He says Verina Smith. Now, we've seen that in basketball in our Virginia Preps Classic, but we've not seen that in football. So if they were to both somehow win, or even they don't win it, that'd be a good matchup to see, Verina and Smith. That'd be pretty cool to see.
You could, if we go up into the Richmond area, you're looking at Verina, you're looking at Highland Springs.
Yep.
Maury played Highland Springs, so
sure. Huguenot will be really good next year. They lose a lot, but they'll be really good next year.
Right. So when you start
then when he loses a lot, Huguenot brings a lot back. Excuse me. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. When you space it out, you have some great fantasy matchups. As far as basketball right now, going into the season, it's fresh.
I guess your options are what? You got Woodside. You got from the private school sector, Catholic is the team to beat. Bobby Steinberg's got another good team. The Beach, it's Lancetown, Green Run, although Green Run got tripped up by Kellum last night. The Eastern, pretty wide open, but you like Maury. Church looked good with Sincere. Jones is going to Virginia Tech. Norview, Lake Taylor, kind of a battle royale there. No dominant team. Southeastern, it figures to be Oscar Smith as the team, but you saw Kings Fork up close and personal. They're no slouch. And the Peninsula, it's Woodside, Hampton, 2 defending state champs. Bay Rivers has some good teams. Lafayette's good. Bruton's good. I'm not sure he's at that elite level. So it feels like it's Woodside right now, yeah?
Yeah, I would say Woodside. You hit them pretty much all the ones I would say going in, because a lot of them were the ones coming out from the end of last year. Right. And I don't think they've dropped that much. What you really got to wait for to see what's going to happen is who's stepping up.
You know what? We're both wrong. Woodside might be the best boys team in the area, but they're not the best team in the area. It's the Princess Anne girls. Have you seen what they've done through 2 games? Holy mackerel.
We didn't even get into girls basketball yet. And yes.
Holy mackerel. Did you see what they did last night?
Yeah, it was what, 95 to 8.
It's funny. I actually had someone text me the final score of the Princess Anne Kempsville girls game. And Kempsville's they're not a bad program. It was 85-9. And I said back to the person, that might be one of their closer games. And they've given up 14 points in 2 games at 2 games. And salute to Princess Anne's administration with Todd Tarkin and the principal and the admin over there. They have officially named that the Dozier Dome in honor of their living legend coach, Darnell Dozier. He deserves that. It's now called, it was referred to jokingly as the Dozier Dome, but it is now officially the Dozier Dome.
Put it on the court, put it up on the wall, deserves it.
He does.
The man got more rings than all the bathtubs in 757. He deserves it. He's just a legend.
And they got Thomas Dale. That's going to be a heck of a game, by the way. I don't know if we saw them last year, Thomas Dale, in the state finals. Remember, against Manchester with Mia Woolfolk, who's not there anymore. And Dale did lose one of its better players, but Dale is still mighty, mighty good. And they've got back for Coach Pam Walker. By the way, Coach Pam Walker used to play at Bethel years ago, but they got Savannah Dawson, who's one of the top 2026 players. She's got interest from all over the country. She's really, really good. So maybe Thomas Dale can hang with PA, because I'm not sure anybody else around here or very few teams in the state can. That'll be an intriguing game. Dale and PA.
I mean, to put it mildly, we could say Princess Anne girls is on the level of John Marshall boys.
Yes.
That you can almost say who is going to play Princess Anne for the girls' state basketball title this year.
Pretty much.
We're always going to put Princess Anne in there.
And he's going for his 15th state championship ring. Yeah, I think he's going for his 15th. Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes mundane because we just figure they're there. And the excitement is who's going to play them. And Darnell does the right job of going out as much as he can to play other teams, that he's not locked into that Beach district schedule, so that his squad can get tested. So all the big ones are going to do that. When you have a super team, you've got to play some super other teams are from different areas. It's extremely important. It's always big on those showcases and also traveling to different tournaments to have that type of competition, because you may not get it day in and day out in your own area. It's just the way things are.
Are you ready to make some NFL selections?
Yeah, because I won it again last week, so I'm ready to roll again.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Don't lie to the audience. Don't lie to the audience.
You changed stuff up. Okay.
No, I didn't change anything up. You were 1-2 last week. Rams -2.5 was a winner. Vikings -3.5 was a loser. Under 44.5, Bills Niners was a loser by half a point.
And I hope
you're mad about that.
The pox be on you, Bills, for the rest of the year.
What's the pox?
It's the pox, chicken pox, small pox, massive pox, whatever. Why? You had the game won, and you're in a snowstorm, and you got snow all over. You got players running their butts off for the end zone where they could slip and tear a knee. You should have took a knee and not scored that last touchdown. But you, selfish as you are to win, I hope now you're done, that you lose every game the rest of the year. I'm picking against you. I'm putting everything I can on. I'm getting Daryl to help me out with his moo juju stuff that he has so that we can see the Bills lose. That's why I lost. Yeah. Now, what was the other one I lost?
Did you just say the moo juju? What did you just say?
Moo juju. Yeah, you wouldn't understand.
What the heck is the moo juju?
Yeah, you don't understand. You being a young kid from the South, you wouldn't understand. That's a northern term.
Yeah. Never been selfish in his life. Never.
No, I've never been that. I'm just saying, that other game I lost, who do I got to put the pox on in that one?
The Vikings -3.5.
What was the score?
They didn't win by 3.5. The final score was, as I loaded up here.
They won by 1.
I think it was 23-20. That sounds about right. They won 23-22 over my Cardinals. Yeah. Would have been much better had the Cardinals pulled it out, but, is what it is. 2-1 for me. Washington was a winner. Over in the Cardinals. Vikings was a winner by half a point. Loss on Baltimore. If only you knew. Tampa Bay -5.5 was a loss in OT. Win for Bruce Pearl with the Rams -2.5, and win for Bruce Pearl with the Eagles +3. Can't stand the Eagles right now. We've got NFL picks coming your way as Ed tries to get ready to put a curse, a jinx, some type of hex on the Buffalo Bills. Yep, go on back to Portsmouth. That's what you're saying. Go on back to Portsmouth. Hey, your buddy Don chiming in. Thought I would jump on. Sorry, not familiar with your teams. Wanted to give a shout out to Bishop Guilfoyle, 1A in Altoona for another state championship. 5 state championships in 10 years. Nice listening to you guys as always. Thank you, Don.
Don Verderami, great dude. He was a former assistant of mine at Altoona High School. High character guy, just tremendous with kids. Does things the right way. Sometimes he's almost too nice, but miss that relationship. We remain friends. Bishop Guilfoyle is the small school in Altoona. You have Altoona High School, big powerhouse. Well, it used to be powerhouse, big high school. I think it used to have 2,000 kids. Their PE, the PE field where kids play PE, is an AstroTurf football field. They have where they play in their stadium. It seats like 9,000 people, AstroTurf. And then they have outdoor basketball courts in front of the school with lighted scoreboards where they play the summer league games. And there's 4 courts there. Don has been an official in the past, did a lot of refereeing games in the area there. And Bishop Guilfoyle is the little school. It would be in this area to be a single A. Altoona would be a 6A. And BG, they don't play each other a lot in sports because BG has hammered them at times. And the Altoona people hate BG. BG hates Altoona, all that kind of rivalry stuff. But BG just won another football title, 5th one in 10 years. So that's what he was referenced to. So, Don, appreciate you all the way from Pennsylvania coming on the podcast, trying to familiarize yourself with our teams that we're talking about. Appreciate that. Keep passing that word, and we'll try to educate you best we can. Good dude. John Verderami's good dude.
As we head to break, when you got to grill and chill and you're looking for fan food, not fast food, where do you head to, Ed?
Man, go to the Queen, Dairy Queen.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that Infernal Revenue Service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Like my skin is like you're making me uncomfortable. Like I don't know what you're talking about.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And we're back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. It's now time for the NFL picks on this particular Sunday, the 7th day of December, 18 days away from Christmas. Oh, will Santa Claus bring me what I want? I sure hope he does. I'm not feeling too confident about it. Here's the updated season totals. We showed you the totals from last week moments ago. There are the season totals, and it is looking like Ed Young is nursing a one-game lead on Bruce Pearl. I'm under 500. I need 6 more wins to get there. It's probably not going to happen for this season as we're down to week 14, and we don't have many more weeks to go to try to get there in the National Football League. So here we go for the picks. Bruce Pearl gets to make the first selection on this particular edition because he had the best week and gets the tiebreaker over me because the Eagles beat the Ravens. You say, why is that? Well, we won't explain that because we don't have enough time in this show to explain that. 2-1 for both him and me last week, 1-2 for Edward. His picks for this week, Ed, are as follows. Bruce is going with the Buccaneers minus the 6.5. He likes Tampa Bay to get the job done and cover, win by at least a touchdown, he says, with an extra point against your Las Vegas Raiders. Miami minus the 5.5. Dolphins have been playing better, except that Thanksgiving Day performance on defense. They play the Jets, the hapless, hopeless, helpless Jets, Jets. Who knows if Aaron Rodgers will be back come next year. And he's going with the LA Chargers to beat a Kansas City team that has not covered a spread in an awful long time. LA, a 3.5-point pup on the road at Arrowhead for Sunday Night Football on NBC and the Peacock. So those are the picks, and I get to go with the first selection here. I love the Buffalo Bills for a multitude of reasons. 1, they ticked Ed off last week. 2, they did well for me against the Chiefs. And 3, they're laying 3.5 on the West Coast against the Rams. But Jared Allen, good Lord. You know who I'm thinking about. Not Jared Allen. Josh Allen, the quarterback for Buffalo.
I got you.
He loves L.A., and I think he will be singing Randy Newman, I Love L.A., into the wee hours in the morning. Give me the Bills to lay the 3.5. You get to go for your next 2. I should say your first 2.
Well, doggone you, Bruce. You took 2 of my picks. And consensus among the national talking heads, everybody loves the Chargers this week to win outright against Kansas City. That's surprising. But I'll have to go elsewhere, and I will go. I'm going to go to your Cardinals. Okay? They've been good to me earlier this season. They're a 2.5 dog to Seahawks. Give me the dogs. Otherwise,
no. They're not 2.5 point. They're a 2.5 point favorite. Get it right.
Oh, that's right. Okay. They're the favorite because Seattle is the dog at 2.5. Seattle is great at home, so on the road. So give me your Cardinals, and I hope Cardinals you deliver, because if not, the Moo Juju Pox goes on you next week for the rest of your franchise career.
What's your next pick? Because you can make 2 in a row.
Give me Steelers Browns under. I don't even know what the under is, but I don't care. As long as it's not
43.5. Is that based on last week having so many points against the Bengals and the fact that it was a high-scoring second half? Okay,
that's not going to happen again.
It's not going to happen again, you say?
Not going to happen again. When they play the Browns, it's a slobber knocker, somebody once said.
Well, it wasn't the last time in the snow.
Snow had factors in that.
It was 24-19, but that still would be under the total, so you could be onto something there.
I'm going to hope I'm onto something because I don't want to pox the Steelers. That's one of my teams. Browns, sorry, sideline Bob. I don't really care for it, so I can pox them easy. But
James Winston will throw some pick sixes at you, lottery style.
James Winston is a strange dude. There's somebody else in his body. His interviews now are out in left field. He's a strange dude from what he was.
It's not about you sometimes that you're a strange dude and you're out in right field, left field, or left out.
His interviews, they're scary.
You want to know what else is scary? You know what else is scary? You know what else is scary? You know what else is scary?
There's a lot of things scary in the world.
I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys plus 5.5, America's dream, against the Bengals on Monday night. You say, why on God's green earth would you do that? They've only won one game at home. It was on Thanksgiving. The Bengals defense is terrible, and they don't cover. So even if the Bengals win, it won't be by more than 5, I don't think. So give me the Cowboys, the Pokes, plus 5.5 at home with a backup QB. And for the last selection, the over-under, sir, of the Bears and Niners was 43.5. It moved up to 44.5. I don't care. Give me the over. I don't think San Francisco can stop water. And the Bears, I think, will give up a lot of points. I think this will be an over game. Give me over 44.5 with Bears and Niners for the last pick. And you get to make one more selection to close out this show.
I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins minus 5.5 against the hapless New York Jets.
So you will steal one of Bruce's, which is one of your customary moves.
I have to, because he took 2 of mine, and I looked at that third one. So I'm taking one of those also.
You're such a bad copycatter. So to recap.
It's in the rules. It's in the rules.
You like to stretch the rules and bend them as much as you can. To recap, Bruce Pearl's going Bucks minus 6.5, Dolphins minus 5.5, and Chargers plus the 3.5. Ed Young's going with the Cardinals minus 2.5, Dolphins minus 5.5, under 43.5 with Brown Steelers. I'm going Bills minus 3.5, Cowboys plus 5.5, and over 44.5 in Bears Niners. And that will do it for this latest installment of 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Enjoy State Semifinal Saturday. Ed Young has 5 757 teams winning today. He's going with Oscar Smith and Maury and Phoebus and Lafayette and Poquoson. And we'll talk to you next Saturday from parts unknown for Ed, me from JMU, my pop's alma mater in Harrisonburg. Have a great sports weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you then.
Everybody take care.